So I need to step back a bit here, because all of what I've said brings up some very important questions. Number one, why is Kung Fu not violent? Well, in Kung Fu, the movements that we practice in Kung Fu is to develop courage by making certain shapes, like move a particular shape in the body. It attracts energy and it allows us flow through us much easier. Through this, the body, mind and soul can gain confidence by the building of this courage. We also do not train to fight for ourselves or protect ourselves. We train to protect other people. This takes away the aggression and the violence. So is it violent? It's controlled violence for the protection of others and for the building of courage for ourselves, for each person. So I hope I can elaborate on that. If you want to send in some questions, I can elaborate on that much more clearly. But I will bring in a second question. How does the Qi work with the Kung Fu? What way does it work? Again, it's about the movement and shape. When everything moves, it gains energy and expands. The way you move is vitally important. Recently, I was at a concert with a friend in Dublin with Professor Brian Cox, the great astrologer. And he was explaining that light moves in a certain way. Once nothing moves, if the light was to stay still, it travels up and down. But once it starts moving, as the earth and the universe does, it works in a pyramid. The light travels in a pyramid which goes faster, but tends to get stronger and slow things down a bit. So the whole light spectrum becomes strong once it starts moving. If you take this concept and put it into the movements of the Kung Fu, the way the great masters, the great grandmasters of old developed them, including the Buddha, it was designed to work with that principle. So the movement and the shapes we make are very, very important for the development of the Kung Fu, the courage, and how to protect others as well. Again, I can elaborate that if anybody wants to send in questions. By all means, they will be answered. So how does it, the third question that it would now bring up would be, how can Kung Fu impact on everyday life? Because you have more confidence, because you're much more aware of what you're doing, and because you're working with nature, not only with the body, but also with the breath and the Qi, you become much more condensed as a person. And your energies, thinking, thoughts, which will be the thinking and the thought process, which is a great conversation, we'll be doing later on. But this condenses into a much stronger being, a much more courageous being, a much more confident being, a much more relaxed being, and a much healthier being.